Okay, we are back for the final section of the Rosy Spoonbill. Um, this is painting around the spoonbill, so we're negatively painting in the shape. We're going to be working with a series of darks. I've mixed up some green, some sap green, some purple, some ultramarine blue, and some red, all in a big pan. Nice and dark and rich, and I'm going to paint the outline, get the shapes right, and start to paint the water around the green plants. This will go fairly quickly, and then we will add a few more little dark details to the bird, and we'll be all done. It's looking great, and I'm really happy with it. And let's take a look. Okay, so I have it turned on its side because in this case gravity is our friend. I'm going to let it run away from the bird as I paint in the darks in the bottom half. Then I'll do this little interior section, and then I'll turn it over and do that half. Should go fairly quickly. In fact, it has to go fairly quickly in order to work and still have a wet edge when it comes to what I'm working on. Now, I have kept the picture of the spoonbill nearby so that I can refer to it. And I'm just indiscriminately grabbing colors at this point. And making a little bit of a rougher edge to the bird. There's a tough edge on those flowers, or not flowers, on those feathers. Something like that. And then I'm going to come in here, drop in a little bit more color, a little bit more dark close to the bird. Come down, outline those legs. And then let it run out. To a soft end. I don't want to fill up the whole paper with the white. I'm going to work around it, pop in some of these greens, drop some more darks in, but definitely give myself a chance to have a soft edge and very dark around the bird. That's looking great. We're going to continue in this vein and finish up the shape to this leg, as well as the plants here. And that's why I pre-painted the green and the warm tone, the green and the yellow tones of the plants, so that I could paint around them quickly and gesturally and give them a presence without having to do too much. And I'm adding a little bit of red now to that dark color. And the key here with the reflections is to bring some of this shape into the pinks so it looks like ripples. And again, I don't want to go all the way out to the edge of the paper, so I'm just kind of playing here, and I will wet the brush a little bit and give myself some spots where I soften the edge out. That gives me a chance to play a little bit with this rippling. Yeah, so something like that. That looks really good. Now we're going to turn this corner on the bird, connecting it to the dark that's around it. And again, negatively painting the shapes of the leaves of the green plants. Alright, that looks pretty super. Just come in here. And don't forget to soften up some of these edges. You don't want them all to be hard edged. And then pull this out. Something like that. And what I am going to do is drop in more dark in this space back here and let it run. Okay. I'm going to pick up a little bit more purple and add it into this mix. I don't want to run short on the purple because that's really working well. And I'm painting the neck of the bird negatively now to basically make some of those feathers have a rough edge to them, like that. Continuing to finish the shape and going around the plants. So something like that. Now I'm going to go around the head. And here you want to be a little bit careful and ruffle those feathers a little bit still and connect that. Paint around those plant shapes, then come in and just with a wet brush that's darkened but not all. And that may be about all we do on the side. I think that I want to pull this light away from there. Yeah, I think so. Okay. And now it's time to flip it over. Let's get in there and do this shape. And again, it's okay to futz with your brush a little bit to give some negative shaping to the edges. And I'm going to go really dark here, coming up against the gray. But I'm also going to negatively paint it so I get some of those rough shapes. And go around the plants like so. Now when we get to the bill, okay. That looks pretty good. I'm going to get on to the other side of that bill. And I'll be honest with you, you want to get this shape right. This is getting the dark here so that you're framing in There. Having that dark behind the head, behind the neck is incredibly important because that's what pushes that whole thing forward and gives you the chance to use it a little bit. Now while we're at it, let's just come in with a damp brush on some of these and soften up the edges a little bit. You don't need to have them all be so perfect. And I'm also going to grab a little orange and just do drops of it into the darker color just to mix things up. The key here is to not let these dry out. And get that dark color in here, into this corner. You want it really dark here. And the reason is you want to offset that shadow inside the beak, but you don't want it to be as dark as the water around it. And it's still wet here, so I can still drop some dark in around the bird. And then what we can do is just soften the edges here a little bit. And I think this top right corner needs a little bit more of this dark mixy color. Just a little bit higher. Now, one thing I wanted to say, and I forgot to when we started this part of it, is there's something important that there's a trap that you needed to not fall into. In the last stage, before we got to putting in the background, with it standing against the white background, there's a tendency to keep working and keep working. And the problem with that is that you end up with an overworked bird because you think it's not enough. So that can be a problem. All right, I'm turning our bird now, and I'm going to back up the camera a little bit so you can see him. And wow, that looks great, if I do say so myself. Loading up a little bit more dark. And I can actually look at this a little bit now so that we can get that shape around the knees correct. And then you want to negatively paint some of these edges here. There we go. Now we can come in with a little bit less dark. Pull out the shapes of those green plants again and start to put the ripples into the water. Now this is still wet, so I can drop in this dark. I want to keep it dark around the bird. I've said that before. And you want to bring that dark into the shadows around the feathers to help them tie the bird into the painting. You want to pull this down a little bit. You don't want to have too hard an edge, and then just kind of waffle it out here. And you get some of that dark on the brush and navigate it into the pink a little bit. Try to be irregular with it. This is a good tip. Try to be irregular with those shadow lines. Okay. Looking at this, I'm going to come in and darken this even more to really make the bird pop. And then just pull some of that dark out. So you don't have a regular edge to it. Alright, put a little bit more do a little bit of calligraphic work with a light brush stroke. To define there. And then with a brush that's wet, just kind of grab a couple of spots there. You don't have to go too crazy. Now what I'm noticing is that this area here, in order to make the reflection feel right, needed to be darkened up a little bit and have some of the dark come in there. Okay. Wow, I'm really feeling it. I'm liking it a lot. This is too regular of a line. I'm gonna punch the edges, break this one up, maybe get rid of this one entirely. Okay, what's left? Not a whole lot. I do want to darken that shadow in the beak now. I think that I can get away with it now. So I'm gonna make a muddy kind of color. And I'm going to do a little bit more dry brush work to tie in the purplets in the water in the shadow of the neck. Just dark. Now that I have that dark shape around it, I can pull that out a little bit. And even come up here a little bit, which just needs a little bit of attention. And then there is this darker edge around the eye and one on this side. There. And soften that up a little bit. All right, I think the only thing I want to do now is just come back in and just make a little bit more of a statement in a couple of spots. And kind of just do a little bit of a jagged dance here. Okay, you're really close to calling this one done. There is this nice red here that starts this shape. I don't want that to be so rounded or so smooth. And grab a little bit of orange and come in here. Okay. Well, something I like to do is flicks of darks. So I'm just going to add a few of those. And I'm going to tighten up there. All right. I think we have a rosy spoonbill. It took a little bit longer than I wanted. And as I said that, I want to darken around the bird a little bit more. So hang on, we're almost done. It'll be worth it. just want to okay. You don't want that to just have such a hard edge to it, so I wet my brush and then I dried it off on the paper towel so that I can pick up some of this so that the edge gets soft. It's called half toning, and it's definitely one of those tricks you want to have in your bag. Okay. Okay, there you go. That's the Roseate Spoonbill. All right, I think this is going to be the, at least for now, the end of the waterfowl, and we'll move on to some other subjects in the coming weeks. Keep painting, and I can't wait to hear from you.